Brett, I got PTSD from the last cycle where I had it all, lost it all, started over, rebuilding, reinventing, recreating. So no one can say I just rode this journey up. No, for those, don't give up hope, have the right mental attitude, always surround yourself with your tribe and find that opportunity and just dig in and go.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Build It to Billions podcast, where we guide ultra successful entrepreneurs and investors on their journey from millions to billions. We believe that the key to scaling your business and compounding your wealth lies in practicing stewardship over ownership and constantly applying billionaire principles. Our ultimate goal is to help you compound your wealth and your impact. Hey, I'm excited about our next guest today. He is out of California, and he's a friend of mine now, a really close friend of mine now as well. We have been work colleagues for a while now, and we have a cool history, which I'll let him tell that story. But his major focus is on, real estate, business, industry. He has over 25 years experience in the brokerage, investment, management, advisory services. He's actually the founding president of eXp Commercial, the commercial company of eXp World Holdings, one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing real estate company in the history of the planet. He's still with eXp Commercial. And he's also currently serving on the national board of RPR, Realtor Property Resource. Please welcome to the show with me, Jim Huang. Jim, how are we doing?
Brett, thank you so much. And hey, full cycle. I remember when I first got the position, you flew down there to see me in Orange County. And, it was a blessing. Give me your book. We shared, catch up. And a little for all your audience, we all cut our teeth the same way. We were all brokers at Marcus and Millichap. So that's also was exciting because we got to share the good, the bad, the other, but very grateful for learning at a top-notch shop to learn the CRE business. As we know now, as there's a full cycle, right? From those that have been around, 2007 to 2009, residential went first. And now, boy, aren't we seeing kind of the same what happened in 2003?
I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, that's going to be the topic of today's conversation, which is leveraging the full market cycle of real estate, right? The current real estate market and the cycle that we're in. And so we're gonna kind of do kind of the back to the future in the sense of the 2008, 7, 8, 9, 10 area, and then we're going to try to bring it to the front here and some of the lessons learned. And that is right. We both started at Marcus and Millichap, right? And we both went through the really tough times. I started in 06, and you built up BRC Advisors and so much there. And in fact, that's a good place to start. Would you tell our listeners a little bit more about your story, Jim, and then your current focus right now, and then we'll dive into the topic at hand?
Yeah, so obviously going kind of far back, it was in finance. I got to work in New York, Wall Street, doing at Dean Witter before Morgan Stanley as they got bought out. Then as I moved back to California, at that point, it was really, what do I do now? Going into a portfolio management, very fortunate to go into a good transition with SEI, the largest TIC syndicator in our country back then. So they were a broker dealer eventually, but they started off very basic, investing, syndicating, buying deals in commercial real estate, knowing and being part of their group, seeing that a lot of deals came from M&M. I was like, you know what? I don't like being a W-2. It's great. You guys are great. I'm more entrepreneurial. So I said, it would be great to let me try this company out. And they did tell me, if it doesn't work out, come back. It's not for everyone. And when I went over to M&M, which Brett, you got to interview like 3, 4, 5 times, talk to your mentors, talk to this, talk to that, take a personality profile, do a math test, all sorts of litmus of stuff. But eventually I got in, landed at the LA office, and the adventure really started there, where I actually enjoyed making the calls, building relationships, looking through the numbers of running your own deals. And eventually, there was a point where I syndicated, bought buildings with my partner, to a point that I said, well, now I'm a principal, but still loving the brokerage, because 4 years, 5 years in at M&M, you had a book of business, right? You had some clientele. So then I moved to BRC Advisors, formed that company from scratch, got a lot of good friends. And this is the thing. You want to work with people you enjoy working with. And this is the learning curve. And we found out we did so many deals with each other, bought with each other, that let's all work together, leverage the resources, have fun with friends. As we know, it's an up and down roller coaster working in commercial real estate. But it's always better with friends and colleagues and people you enjoy working with, and really making money, right, with the people you like. And that really as you're doing, Brent, with a lot of ventures you're working on, the people you trust and the people you like to work with. So really going through that was a big learning curve, building it. And now I finally kind of have full cycle, full learning of what that means. Because doing the brokerage path, as the company did grow to success, we had over 180 commercial brokers and we did billions in sales. I had to be in more management than brokerage. So it's almost like you take a career path. What do you choose? What do you do? Hopefully the business keeps going. But we all know during that time, it was 2007 and 9, full cycle now, where we saw some bad stuff happen. So, getting through it was tough before I joined Rand Sperry, looking for a new dance partner after 2012. Before then, I was trying to do a merger with EXP. Instead, just came over, grew EXP, and then now kind of a free agent, but really loving life in the next journey, Brett.
Amazing, by the way. And you can learn more about Jim Huang, and I'm going to spell it for Huang. But his email is James, James dot Huang at expcommercial.com, at expcommercial.com. So Jim, so much there and tons of experience, which leads us to the current real estate cycle, right? And so what would you say is the number one like mindset or secret or thought you're thinking about as far as leveraging this current market real estate cycle, especially given what we learned, during the 2007 to 9, range, and just kind of bring some of those things together and some of those thoughts, some of those timeless practices and principles, and what kind of mindset and focus you're having right now.
I loved what you said, Brett, mindset. Right now, you got to have the mindset of abundance. You got to have a strong, tough mindset. One of the things how my interviews went in commercial real estate was, are you an athlete? Are you a military person? Are you an entrepreneur? These people are tough to get to where they needed to be. Entrepreneurs up and down in life. Athletes, they train to win, right? They keep paying their dues. Military, take orders, do the job, right? These are very important skill sets. So a lot of times when I talk to individuals, I said, you need to have the right mindset, the right focused mindset to make it in this career, especially in this time. Thinking abundance, right? Also working as a team, where a lot of these entrepreneur athletes and military are working as a team. This is very important. The mindset, working with a strong, trusted team that That's why a lot of people work with those that they know who to work with. They know their credibility. They know their capacity of what they can do. And very few people try a new person. I mean, granted, you give opportunities, but because this cycle is difficult and those that haven't been around, I'll tell you, Brent, I got PTSD from the last cycle where I had it all, lost it all, started over, rebuilding, reinventing, recreating. So no one can say I just rode this journey up. No, as everyone knows, it's an up and down struggle, but it's a where you learn. And the best lessons in life was my complete disaster of what happened last cycle. But it made me grounded. It made me more appreciative. It made me happier because happiness is within your own reach. And it gave me that right mindset to go out and really conquer and live every day as a good day and working with the people I enjoy. So I would say at this point in my life, Brett, like you, I work with people I enjoy working with. I like to collaborate with who I do like to collaborate. And just as a silver lining, anytime the market has changed, residential or commercial, there is a huge amount of opportunities, right? When I had BRC and things went down, I created and worked with my partners on starting a private money lending, fix and flip company, loan mod company, all sorts of different businesses and company. Actually, I started almost a WeWorks where I let my lawyer, CPA, marketing person use my offices because they didn't want to pay. I was in 5 Class A offices. Here you go. Give me a certain amount of billable hours and you can have a free office and use of our conferences. So I was filling my offices because at that time, you and I know, couldn't fill in brokers, couldn't put butts in seats. So you had to reinvent yourself. But there are these opportunities. But I would just say, for those, don't give up hope, have the right mental attitude, always surround yourself with your tribe and find that opportunity and just dig in and go.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. So the mindset of abundance and leveraging, building teams, trusted teams with those that, have been in the trenches, have been through the challenges, who are the athletes, the entrepreneurs, the military, all of those kind of things, combining those honestly, combining those. And I think the certainty of conviction, right? Because in today's marketplace, the margin for error, given where interest rates are at, given where the changing environment with politics, changing environment with demographics, changing environment with the economy and different things. You need to have certainty of conviction, and to have that, have an abundance mindset, have a certainty of the team that you're working with. And so I love all that. So the mindset is so important. What else comes to mind as far as tactically leveraging this market cycle? Maybe you can even compare and contrast of some similarities or differences between the two, and then where you're seeing kind of opportunity perhaps to do deals or build businesses. Like what, anything kind of come to mind there, Jim?
It does. And I'll just tell you, it's faster. Technology, data, it's faster. It's there. I just did a panel talking about technology, AI, and automation, and everyone's talking about workflows and pathways. Where do you spend your time? How and what can you automate? Who can you build? Because one thing that can't be disrupted is relationships. So a lot of your time needs to be spent connecting with people, whether it's virtual, using LinkedIn, social media, live events, pick and choose the events. I always say, make sure when you're going to the events, make sure who you would like to meet. And that's okay, I met with this person, I met with, kind of have that methodical why you're there. Who do you want to meet? Where do you want to plug in? So you got the goals accomplished. But those are the biggest things now. Technology, data, woo, and I know 20 years ago, 30 years ago, now it's all at your fingertips. And with AI and all these automation tools, what we were talking about, they said, don't fear technology unless you don't use it or get to know it or understand it or take over and manage it. It is changing the way things are done in a rapid way. We all saw it with Amazon, Uber, all these different companies. Real estate, commercial real estate is definitely changing. Residential is always, I always say, the canary in the coal mine, where that goes first. Commercial is going to follow. So as you see the changes, and I say commission compression, data, what you're worth, how many hours are you spent? And I talked on a residential panel about disruption and changes and sharing and showing your value, right? But the best thing too, like what you've done a great job, Brett, is portability of your brand, creating your brand, doing the podcast, using social media, building your brand, because your brand is portable. You can bring your brand as long as you have credibility of following to manage and maintain and create opportunities with many people. I've had people through LinkedIn and other ways reach out to me to having a conversation. I said, wow, what a great conversation. And we're going to be doing business soon on the next way of technology and things that I'll be doing the next chapter. But that's one of my takeaways too. Build your brand, build you as your brand, because it's not the company, it's not the organization. Those are part of your brand wherever you were at and whatever you served and whatever you did. Even the best, as we all know, being grounded is the horror stories, the disasters, right? You're authentic and real. You're right. You're not like everything is great, like some of these Instagram. It's beautifully, photoshopped and all this, right? Being real that my life is hard and it's kind of sucks sometimes.
Mhm. Awesome. I love that. Yes. And so I'm gonna pull out a couple key nuggets there, right? So everything is faster than it was before. That makes sense. And I think it's even faster than we can even really comprehend at this point, because it continues to get faster, right? Technology, automations, and then the speed of data and technology is huge. But I love the way you said that relationships cannot be disrupted. So it's really leveraging the opportunities to connect deeply with those in your field, those that your clients, or your strategic alliances, at events virtually or at events, physically, and being really methodical and thoughtful and doubling down on relationships. And so much the AI and the workflows to do the things that aren't face to face, that aren't contact to contact, physical contact, right? And so that, I think, is huge. And then on top of that, build your brand, right? Really focus on knowing that your brand can be the portable thing, right? Whereas technology may change, relationships and your brand are even stronger today. Is that a fair summary, Jim?
That is.
Yeah.
And it's fun. But everyone, one day, like I said, a long time ago on LinkedIn, I was like, boy, I need to start doing this. And it took time, right? Like anything, to build the brand, the following, to you get it up to a certain amount of numbers. But like you, it's just consistency of doing
Mhm.
it, right?
Yep.
Making sure you're just constantly learning and doing every
Hmm.
day.
Absolutely. Now let's shift a little bit into like leveraging the ability to like to raise or bring in capital. It seems like deals are pretty abundant these days in the sense that values have dropped in commercial real estate, right? Some in some areas, right? And then there seems to be debt readily more available, although loan to value ratios, you have to put a little bit more down payment, but like equity in the capital, right? And so just talk about the what we're talking about, relationships and leveraging the ability to get capital, because I feel like capital is the oxygen, that a lot of syndications and funds is starting to starve for, right, or starting to run out of breath.
Yep. Well, the good and bad, we all see this within a cycle that fresh capital gets to be priced at the new numbers, right? That has to be, right? Anything that was done, I would say 2019, 2020, you're upside down because the interest rates move so quick. No one could adjust. Even if you bought right, did whatever's right, hopefully you didn't over leverage so you can hold it through and didn't lose it. But right now, everyone talked about the mezz, right? The middle piece, the bridge. I started going to conferences where they started calling it emergency capital, right? Or all this, right? They're just outright saying, man, I need to save myself and bring some more equity because the credit box is tightened up. There's a lot of distress. The debt is there if the right equity for LTV, loan to value, makes sense, right? And even with certain product types, they just won't touch it. And the good thing is the world has changed and moved around so much. There's new pathways to find new money, new partners, new potentials, different ways of structuring the deal so you can find this to create this opportunity. But you're like, there's so much money out there. And I think everyone's waiting. This is an election cycle, right? So there's a little politics into this, but everyone is almost holding their breath, waiting to see what may happen after the election to hopefully go on as business as usual. It's letting the damage happen, letting I heard the sniper effect, solving certain problems, properties issue, letting some other things go, maybe not like last time, it's never the same, letting it all go, auctioning it off like last cycle, RTC1, RTC2, right? All of that is always a little different. But the good thing is there's always an incredible amount of opportunities. We all saw it. If you were there in the savings and loan, to the should have bought more residential homes. We're all guilty of that. We should have bought more homes. But this cycle, what is it? Is it office building conversion? It's something, right? And a lot of times it's not as obvious and it's pulling the trigger, but getting to know a lot of people, hearing it, and working as a team because you will need the money, you will need to find the opportunity, and a lot of times you will have to have the operational knowledge anytime you run a company. And that's what's important: the money, the opportunity, and how to run this sucker. And if you have, usually everyone has about one, you're lucky to have two. Very rarely you work with these large teams, whether they're PE or venture capital, or you form one. I think like what you guys are doing, right? You have all the right ingredients. You just keep doing what you do to bring in flow of deals and bring in more people that you
Yeah.
can connect with to make things happen.
Yeah, I could agree with you more, Jim, and I'll kind of bring it to life field in case people are running. So, one of my businesses is Capital Gains Tax Solutions. I'm the founder. Most people know me about that, and I'm also a part of EXP Commercial, and I worked with Jim and under Jim for years. So, Jim, when you mentioned that, the operational knowledge, the relationships, the capital, and the best teams are going to have that, I think, combined with AI and tech, right? And then you have the core values, the mission, something that's beyond just the team. Something that comes to mind is stewardship versus ownership, and it's one of the things we talk about at the Build to Billions podcast. And so when you hear stewardship versus ownership, kind of what comes to mind, Jim, and what are maybe some things that you're really passionate about? Giving back and helping. I know you're a big part of the communities that you're a part of. Like, just tell us a little bit about that passion behind who you are, Jim.
Yeah, the one of the things as I love commercial real estate, I knew this was a path forward, like home ownership, to create wealth, to create opportunities, and it could be, real estate, business brokerage, loan. I mean, there's a whole part. And I also called it the Wild West ever since Wall Street. That it's not as regulated. Granted, you got to be compliant, you got to fit in the law, and you still can make a tremendous amount of money. Mostly because the relationship, I always say it was insider trading, where you're talking to friends, you're finding deals. Not everything is out in the market at the same time. So that was important. CRE and giving this access to everyone in CRE. So that's why, to me, underserved, more women, younger people, people that are not available and learning commercial real estate. I've always wanted to be more people to understand this because it does build communities. I always say it starts with the land and then it becomes something. So, well, communities are people within these building structures, right? And even residential, it starts with the vacant land, with the idea, with the concept, and people coming into the town, city, village to build a community, to build a family, to build so much of your life within those confines. So having commercial real estate, having the ability for everyone to learn this industry, right? With no secrets, I've been blessed with a tremendous amount of good mentors. And without the right mentors and advocates to help open doors, guide me at different levels. And I would say just because when you start in your 20s, you had a mentor. In 30s, it may be a different mentor. 40s, 50s, even 60s, beyond, right? You're always going to have a mentor that helped you within the steps. And never forget, because without them, you would have fell. You would have fell in the water. You couldn't get across the river. And that helped you with the mentors and advocates, really helped you behind the scene, giving you that opportunity, giving you that position. Because a lot of times behind, I always say behind the screen, the wall, in the private rooms, you don't know what they're talking about. They can say, I love you. And then behind I don't think so. Right. So having the right advocates give you the opportunity, not just mentor you. If they're the same, sometimes they are the same. A lot of times they're not. You can find people like this. Right. That's why volunteering, Brett, that you said, I volunteered so much after really this cycle. I've always given back on these things, but I went on turbo mode, really thinking abundance, giving, helping, serving, which really mattered. And then the other one is the future is our children. Everyone loves your children. Children could be molded and helped without any prejudice, with collaboration, cooperation. It's what you want to pour into them to make them better. And that's the thing. When you get kids to play, they just want to have fun. They just want to. They're curious, right? And giving them the right mindset to be very successful in life, but also helping others, giving back. And those are really my passions where they align with the children, creating opportunities for those that are not represented all the time, and commercial real estate, which I think is a financial structure to create a tremendous amount of wealth for everyone. So while
Yeah.
I'm kind of going to the end, Brett, that's kind of where I'm leaning to and giving more to
I
instead of
love it, Jim. It's the ability to build wealth and massive wealth in commercial real estate and entrepreneurial wealth, right? I think business wealth. I think long-term, generational wealth, right? And creating more opportunity for that versus just home ownership, which is important. That's like maybe the 1950s American dream. It's like, hey, how are we going to build, the entrepreneur multi-million dollar dream to make a huge impact? I absolutely love it. Let's talk about leveraging creative deal structuring, right? I think sometimes this is a piece of it where when you have the more than 10,000 hours right over your career with everything you're doing, right, and you're becoming masterful in what you're doing. What are some ways that you think might be creative that maybe be overlooked, but you just comes naturally to you, Jim, because you've been and seen and done so many deals?
Yeah, and history repeats itself, obviously, with laws and rules and regulations changing. But I knew things were changing when everyone was telling me AITDs, write raps. I'm like, okay. And also, when people started talking to me about the foreign investor, I'm like, okay, the domestic market is definitely dried up. But a lot of these ways you structure. So everyone knows you get price or structure. You can stretch out the loans. We can do seller carryback. You could do wraps. They all have different ramifications. I would always say talk to your advisor, talk to your lawyers, having a good team around you to vet and understand. But there's many ways, especially in commercial, to cross collateralize, to restructure deals, to look at things, to look at all the income flow, to find other verticals to say, okay, maybe I'm doing a commission deal, I don't get this, but I can get paid here. I can manage the building, I get paid there. I can structure on the back end, and those that are, you know, putting the spreadsheet and everything together, can see what the return would be, right? Cash up here, stock here, projections there. Does this return, does this IRR, does this meet your model for the risk? So I would always say that's why commercial, talking to a lot of experts on how to put deals together, talking to good attorneys, I would say deal makers, not deal breakers attorney, to really put it. And I would say if you have a good attorney partner, price them in. It's worth their weight in gold. And it is just amazing because right now, as the market's changing, there's a lot of ways to structure deals, extending it out, reducing payments, doing interest only. I mean, however you can look at it. And it is fun in commercial, it's math. But there are some deals, and that's why structuring new businesses right now, you can't solve the problem. You're going to have to work it out. You're going to have to auction or sell it. You're going to have to try to kick the can down the road, while you're trying to find the white knight saving your deal. And we know not everything is salvageable, but how do you work through that? And that's the pain. That's what many of us in the last cycle and many cycles learned. But don't give up. If you give up, you're over, you're done. Keep going. And this is the biggest thing I've learned. And I usually keep my friends circle very small. Your friends and your family are always going to be there. If you build a good relationship, you know who they are. And those that are, oh, you don't drive this, you don't live here, you don't do this, they're not your friends. That's okay. You don't have to be negative to them. Just don't have to be around toxic, those type of people, because it's only going to take you down and make you feel bad. You just need the true good tribe support group to keep you going, to keep you, energized and focused to the next opportunity. And that could change like that. And that's
Love it.
one thing I've learned through failures. I had a lot every decade. Boy, did I have a failure, but still very happy, still feeling very blessed and working with the people I like. And then I always say God will have a way, and whatever that way is, it's okay.
I love it, Jim Wong, everybody. And I a couple deal nugget or a couple nuggets here, golden nuggets here. So creative deal structuring is kind of couple things that come to mind. So price, structure, and time, right? And looking at all three of these to either give more time on the the interest rate, or more time on the structure on an installment sale, and more time on the actual escrow itself. There's a creative. I think it's pretty creative in the sense that I used to think of land investing as you buy the land, you develop it through soft entitlements, right? And then you sell it to the ultimate developer, or you're that developer. But you're buying the land for $1 million, and it might take you 6, 12, 24 months to entitle it. And maybe it's worth now 4 or 5 or something kind of cool, right? But what if you could just tie it up under contract, at $500,000, and let's say it's a $5 million piece of land, you tie it up for $500,000, and it's worth $10 or $12 million to the land developer at the end of it, but the land developer doesn't have the time, the energy, the expertise to do all of that. And it's kind of like a wholesale in a sense. You control and own the contract, but you're less equity to get in. And if it doesn't work out, all you lose is that deposit, right? Which is still substantial if it's go non-refundable. But the point is, the person who's the farmer, or the person who's had the land in the family for years and has all the partners and has never done anything with it, and you can come in and you can solve those problems and structure it in a way where it's a double close. Like, those are the kind of things that kind of come to mind. And I've been looking at those recently. They call land control contracts. I'm still learning. Multifamily was by trade, and then of course the deferred sales trust by practice now. But any other deals like that, they're like, yeah, I like that with parking lots or mobile home parks or land. Like, anything come to mind like that that's particular, Jim?
Yeah, you know what? I love that you bring it up. So a lot of times people tie up deals, right? They lock it in. As long as you get buyer-seller agreement, don't violate the law, don't commit fraud. As long as both parties agree, you can lock it up. You can have options to buy. You could flip it, right? They always say and or assignee, right? That they have it on it. You could lock it, then reassign it, fix it up. However, whatever, use their land, have an exit. So that's the great thing about real estate. Sometimes you don't have to have money. You have to have knowledge, and you got to put a little elbow grease and work hard. And listen to this, and exactly right. I know a lot of people, right, were doing the arbitrage with the Airbnb, tying up homes, renting it out, not buying it themselves. And then that all works until the market gets too frothy, market changes, and then it could collapse, right? So it is important to sometimes take some chips off the table, don't over leverage, learn from a lot of good mentors, and diversify where your income stream comes in, right? These are some basics. And it is important to learn all these different ways of negotiating, putting contract, and it's worth its weight in gold. Let's say you don't get to be part of the deal, but you bring a deal to a mentor that understands this. I did this early on, and boy, this person really showed me how to structure, do deals. Back in the last cycle, I would say in the 2000s when I first was at SCI, there was a great guy there that, you know, taught me a lot of stuff. I was like, well, that's pretty good. And I carried that today of looking how to tie things up, how to structure it, how to do master leases. Right now, who knows? You do a master lease guaranteeing a certain amount of rent, the office building is vacant or retail back then, and you tie up the entire property and you're making the arbitrage of trying to fill it, trying to bring in income, paying the landlord some ownership or some money while you're doing a master lease, right? And master lease option to buy, with certain parts that you can refi money. But love that you brought that up. There are so many ways of doing it with no money, but you got to work hard. No one's just going to give you the deal. And it's worth giving it to certain people like this to walk you through the contracts, understanding the process, and then it's for you to keep finding the right person. I know in residential, you just look on TikTok. There's so many that are doing these kind of deals, tying up
Yeah,
properties,
I
selling
could
it.
agree. That's a great way to kind of wrap up this part of the section, which is leveraging the current real estate market cycle. And it's looking at creative ways to structure deals, creative ways to solve problems, because guess what? Sellers are going to be more motivated to be more creative. And buyers are going to need to be more creative, and brokers and anyone in between, because the marketplace has more roadblocks and more headwinds, coming towards you. So you got to be more creative. That being said, Jim, are you ready for the lightning round?
I am. I'm ready.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 20-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget that someone you really admire would told you, that could have told you, would have told you, that would have saved you hundreds of hours or put more millions of dollars in your pocket?
Um, do not have that gratification when you do your deals. Don't spend it all. Invest it, save it. The power of compounding. Big mistake I didn't learn. I spent it. I was like, oh, I'll make more money. I'm good at this. Make more money, make more money. I'll save later. People that listen, right, the power of compounding in your 20s. I would have been retired so long ago because I was good at doing my job. I was just bad at saving. I was bad at
Mhm.
putting it away because I kept on
Yep.
thinking I'll just make more, right? Like many. But the problem is the power of compounding to give you enough, and everyone says there's enough, that's your FU money, right? That you never have to do it, you never have to work again. And it's, delaying gratification. Those that delayed gratification that listen to us, and there's some success stories with mentees that actually did this. They didn't buy the car the first time they did a deal. We all did it. We're kind of guilty. We're tired of driving that beat up piece of crap that we drove in high school or college. And we was like, oh, in the big times, we got to buy a new car. So good enough, delay gratification, put the money away for you in investments. I always say if you're in real estate, you better syndicate, buy a piece of it, go in with family, friends, anyone, because you're learning the process, not just trying to sell it, but you actually buy it, own it, know how to run it. Teaches you a lot of good lessons. But I would say if I go back, Brett, I would have started saving a little, not all, everything. You got to have some fun, right? But I would have put it back because the power of compounding now would have been
Awesome.
such a blessing.
Love it. Question number 2. What's the number one book you've recommended the most or gifted in the past year?
You know what? I hate to say this. What is it? 48 Laws of Power. I always
Yeah.
like that because there's a lot of lessons. I mean, it's right up there with Sun Tzu.
Mhm.
Art of War, Life is War, business is war, relationships is war. And you got to learn some of the tactician's way of thinking, maneuvering. It's not all war because it sounds too brutal, but
Mhm.
that mindset of thinking, right? We always say play chess, not checkers. You get to outthink, strategize, maneuver, and learning, like the biggest things I always learn, especially from Sun Tzu, but 48 does this too, is know yourself, know your enemy, and you will be victorious 100%. Most
Love
people
it.
may know everything else, but they don't know themselves really, because
Mm,
sometimes when you don't really look at what you are realistically, you always drink your own Kool-Aid and believe your own nonsense or your own hype. That's the hardest thing as you get more successful, is not to believe your own hype, but stay grounded, find that grounded person. Because as you keep building, it's going to be harder, but the more you can stay grounded, it's a blessing, because that's the thing. If you don't know yourself, you may know your enemies. You're a good tactician, strategist. Great, you're going to lose 50%, toss of a coin, because you lost yourself during your success. And we've seen it until you hit rock bottom again. And hopefully you never do that again. But these are the things, that I've always liked to learn, read. It's not all about like war, even though it's in the title, but it is strategies and thinking and constantly reading, right? And learning from everyone. And I think I posted something recently. I love being a consummate student. I always love learning and seeing and being grounded, not going into the room saying, I know it all, I'm out. No, learning from others, calling them the master, the teacher, right? It humbles you, because there's always something more to learn, especially in this market cycle. Boy, it's going so fast, and you can't learn it all yourself. You need to learn from others and then leverage hopefully they like you, the relationships, to build something together.
Amazing. We're out of time. Jim Huang, everybody. I want to, first of all, Jim, I want to thank you for being on the show, sharing tons of wisdom. I want to thank you for being a friend, a leader of EXP Commercial, helping to lead it into the next chapter of success. I want to thank you for you're giving back to community, right? And your care for people, and your a massive amount of experience that so many people can learn from. For those who want to get in touch with you, remind them one last time, what's the best way to reach out and connect with you?
The best way would be to reach me on LinkedIn. I'm James Huang, Huang on LinkedIn. Pretty much look the same. A little Photoshop, right? Or you can reach out on James at expcommercial.com. But I always say the LinkedIn is the best. Learn a little bit about my resume. Happy to always give back, help others. Try to take as many meetings as I can, because I do like to help those that are interested in this career or business, but manage it, because I always say I got to do the day job, run some businesses and company. And Brett, I can't wait to do a number two and work with you, because of the next half a year when I kind of announce what I'll be doing.
Yeah, so excited. Snow Fox Ventures is so excited to have Jim as like one of our top strategic alliances. And then, and I want to also thank Jim as well for putting Capital Gains Tax Solutions and me on stage at EXP commercial events over the years, and on webinars and such. It's been an honor to be able to be a part of that. And we're still combined their forces there, but also being entrepreneurs. And that's what I also love about EXP as well. They let you still be an entrepreneur, build your brand, right, and be a part of an amazing organization there too. So that being said, I appreciate everyone listening today, and I want to encourage you to share, rate, review, subscribe, show some love to the show, to the podcast, wherever you're consuming it. And we will talk to everyone again real soon. Bye, everybody.